Robert from Crit Games coming at you, bringing you 3 dungeon mastering tips to make your D&D game even better. Number 1, you're the DM. You are the narrator of the story, and there's a lot of power in that. You're like the camera that is focused on the heroes as they're moving along, and you actually control the time that it takes to do things. So if something's not interesting, you can compress the time, move along. A player's going to the blacksmith, asking what they need. The rest of the players, they start picking up their phones. Not the best use of time for everybody, not a lot of fun to do. You can just ask the player what they're interested in doing, compress that time down. You don't have to role play a conversation bartering for the best cost of the sword that they're interested in. Just ask them what they need, and maybe the town has it, maybe it doesn't. Supply them, get them what they need, and then move forward. You don't need to spend a lot of time on it. You can compress and just summarize and just have a narration, and there you go. So the basic rule I have as a dungeon master, if it's not furthering the plot or it's not furthering a character, you don't need it. It's something it's not helpful to the game, and it's not doing any of the player's service. So you can compress that time, move forward. Travel is a good instance of something that, and unless you're really into throwing down dice for random monsters or building some sort of random encounter along the way, it usually kind of bogs down in some sort of bandit fight or something on the road, but it doesn't really further the plot, doesn't help the characters, and doesn't deliver on what you have for that night. You end up wasting an hour's worth of time just killing some bandits in the woods and for no reason. Number 2, so as a dungeon master, I only have a couple of things that I've sort of prepped for the night that would be helpful to further the plot along, but I don't need to specify exactly how the players discover them or maybe how the encounter specifically is going to go down. I really just have to have these couple plot points, knowledge bits, something that moves the game forward. Now, if you leave it open and not having something very specific, how you anticipated how the players are going to discover it or do it or have that type of thing, then you leave it open to the players to discover for themselves, and that's a lot more rewarding. So, maybe there's a piece of information that the players need to get for that night, and that's going to kind of further and set up sort of the next scenario. That piece of information could be anywhere. It could be maybe they find it on a note, and you thought maybe beforehand they'd encounter this person, or they go after that NPC, and that NPC would provide that knowledge for them. But it doesn't have to happen that way. Whatever the players do during the course of the game, reward them for their ingenuity, and then take whatever information, plot point, piece that they need, and place it ahead of them. Your players will very much enjoy and think they're the greatest for figuring it out. And you as a dungeon master, you don't have to have that specific thing in mind. Allow your players to discover it and just hit that beat, that plot point along the way, and everyone will be much happier. All right, number 3. So, as a dungeon master, I have this trick that I've been using for a long time, and this is something that you shouldn't let your players catch on to. But I have this idea that there could be multiple possibilities for the reason for things, who did something, maybe some sort of plot point or reason that some NPC or villain is doing what they're doing. Leave it open. You might have an idea as a dungeon master what it would be, but listen to your players. They're going to have some ideas as well, and you can play off of it, and based on what they're doing, you can allow the future to fall into place. This is sort of like in physics, where they have multiple parallel universes all happening simultaneously that are switching off, diverging at different points along the way. Well, why not have all of those possibilities available to you? Don't paint yourself into a corner in terms of who's doing what, how it's happening, and what villain is doing what and why. Allow your players to suggest it, figure it out, and allow them to develop the story for you, and keep all those possibilities open until finally it'll collapse down one path that is satisfying story arc, something that happens with building that character up or taking out that villain, and allow your players to naturally discover the path that they want to go down. There's no reason why you have to force it. There's no reason actually that the story has to go down a particular arc and one particular arc that you have. Keep all of the scenarios open, and then only force it down a path when finally a player has made a decision or they think they know what's going on and you want to kind of build off of those ideas. These are all tricks for how to up your game for your dungeon mastering. I hope you enjoyed it. Like or subscribe online. Follow us on YouTube or also on Instagram at Crit Games, or you can find us on Twitter at Crit Games LLC. Visit us at critgames.com, and as always, game on.